Welcome to Reddit Aliens. Ask Reddit people, do you believe in the paranormal? Why? Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hell yeah. Spent the night with a friend in the haunted dorm at my old college. Heard footsteps in the hall, looked out the door, nothing there. I've seen ghostly figures in the woods behind childhood house. Had something tug my pant leg while at my desk in my childhood home. The white bedroom in my parents' house is always cold, and one time sleeping over took all the decorative pillows and put them on the chair to the left of the bed. Woke up in the morning and they were tossed all over the room. Don't even get me started on the days I worked overnight at a warehouse in an old mill building. The freight elevator. Backstory time. So we had 2 floors of packaging, but overnights we only ran the first floor, since there's no shipping at night. We had a freight elevator that ran during the days, but night crew didn't have access, so you need a key card to run the elevator. I've physically heard the elevator running at like 3 a.m. We've heard footsteps and what sounded like carts being wheeled in the back hall. Again, need a day shift supervisor key to access the rear loading dock hall. We've heard rolling carts and footsteps upstairs as well. Wooden floors, so it's super loud, when we 100% knew no one was up there. A lot of women died in that mill back in the day. Only partially due to the odd presence me and my brother used to feel in my house. We could feel it watching us and sometimes see it in the corner of our eyes. The feeling of being watched by something unknown is pretty primal and scary, so it has stuck with me. As a child, quite frequently, always at night, I'd be woken to what felt like someone sitting at the end of my bed. Full-on ass dip at the bottom. My brother later confirmed he woke up to use the toilet and he had to pass the top of the stairs to get there, and he saw a gray figure at the bottom of the stairs. Fast forward to my early 20s, I was staying with my aunt and uncle. One night I put my head down to sleep and awoke in the morning with scratch marks across my chest. They don't keep animals, so it definitely wasn't that. I showed my cousin, and she said it looked like human scratches and looked quite mortified. Gotta say, I will never forget that because my chest was really sore for like 4 days. These are just half of the stories of my past experiences and a couple of other attacks, and all in normal, regular life. I'd like to believe there is something after this existence. Life has gotta be all for something, right? Surely we can't be going through all these experiences and suffering for there to be nothing afterward. I hate thinking that I've lived and loved and for none of that to matter. I don't want to think of the fact that if I were to die today, I wouldn't see my son grow up or keep an eye on my husband. The paranormal just gives hope to that. I don't believe it all. I know most crap like most haunted is fake and made up for the views, but I did have an experience that made me believe. I was 7. I have a very vivid memory of my great-grandmother saying goodbye to me in a dream. She said, "I have to go now, Goose. You might not understand, but I'm very tired and I miss Granddad so much. I love you. Take care of your family. Goodbye." The next morning, my mom came in crying and told me that she'd passed away that night. I'd like to see her again one day and tell her I did all right, that I have a wonderful husband and a beautiful son. I just want something beyond this crappy existence. I think you just nicely summed up any faith-based belief system. It's something that you don't necessarily have to see to know or believe that is there. That's up to the person, so. Me and my cousin were at my grandma's house and saw a doll in a place that isn't where we left it, and no one had been there. On another occasion, we were going to the kitchen to get a drink and saw a shadowy figure move across the open kitchen and another by the big window and more stuff. Yes and no. No, because some ghost hunting stories are total BS. Yes, because I've only experienced one ghost encounter, and that is the so-called hatman that I saw when I was a kid. Apparently, people around the world have seen the same figure. Look it up and see if you have seen it. Honestly, because we don't even know what's out there. We haven't even explored half the ocean yet. There's probably some planet out there that has supernatural, and if there was supernatural people or just people with rare abilities, they would probably be in hiding and not telling the whole world. What really counts as supernatural being though? Being fire resistant, being apparently there's some people in this world that have a fire resistance. That's a stream of consciousness. I believe because I've had many unexplainable things, A chair fell standing upright for no reason when I was home alone. Once, when I came home, I found furniture shifted, blankets on the floor, spoons, forks, and knives all over the place. But there was no sign of intruders because everything was still in the house. I once saw something in the corner of my eye move while I was gaming at night, and I booked it to my mom's room where I waited for 10 minutes only to find whatever it was to still sit there. Shut the room door, and then I ran to the front door and opened it. I hid in a doorway overlooking the front door and waited for it. I got tired and just stopped when I was welcomed by the creature who was standing in the hallway blocking it completely. I was home alone and just ran outside in flip-flops, and it kind of chased me until the neighbor's house, then it ran away. Still get nightmares about it. I've had more things, but too long stories. Paranormal is becoming a bad box for both the unknown and all the stupid hoaxes around. I do believe humanity is still too stupid, misinformed, or lacking vital info about too many phenomena that exist in the universe. We just think how smart we already are. We are definitely not there yet. I do believe that people who automatically laugh and belittle any mentioning of paranormal are arrogant and narcissistic and not as smart as they think they are. And I do believe that people who 100% believe in everything paranormal with no doubts or exceptions are pretty mentally disturbed. Yes, I was trying to sleep in my old house on the second floor, and my sister left her mirror in my room when she switched with me. Lighting struck and saw a clear reflection of an old man with a stubble just staring at me for the millisecond the light flashed. Next strike was 2 seconds later, and the man was gone. Cause my cousin and I deadass saw a shadow figure when we were younger and gave the same description unprompted. If it was just one of us, maybe you could play it off. Also, our aunt tried to play it off as our uncle pranking us when we told her about it. She didn't tell us until we graduated that when we told her, it scared the shit out of her because our uncle was deployed at the time. A few years ago, my brother, mom, and I were coming home late because our mom had to work. She's a teacher, and my dad was on a business trip to Louisiana. We get home late, and my mom is telling me and my brother to go brush our teeth and get ready for bed. We were about 8 to 9 years old. So me and my brother walk upstairs to get ready for bed, and I walk into the hallway to turn on the light switch on, which is right across from the stairs. As my brother is waiting for me to turn on the light in the hallway, we heard a deep growl or laugh come from the bathroom right across from me and next to the stairs where my brother was. My brother and I looked at each other and ran down the stairs screaming like little girls all the way to the front door. However, the door was locked, and we were trying to unlock it to run outside. Meanwhile, my mom was in the kitchen and ran to the front door watching us crying and screaming. Our neighbors were cops, and so we asked if one of them could check out the house to see if anyone was inside, but there was no one. To this day, we have no idea what made that noise, but it scared the shit out of me, making me sleep with my parents for a couple of years after that. I'm sure plenty of these incidents could be chalked up to an overactive childhood imagination or probably some remnants of a scary movie they saw, but maybe not. One time my bedroom door was wide open and there was a shadow of a person, and I, an extremely curious 8-year-old, needed to see what there was. Grabbing a book, I looked through the hall and the hallway light that was on started flickering and there was no one there. I still don't know what it was, but it haunts me. With some of the unexplainable things that happened to me, I can confidently say yes. Here's one experience. I was sitting in the living room scrolling through YouTube, home alone in the middle of the night, and I swear to God I heard someone knocking at the door. The living room connects directly to the kitchen. The front porch was torn down, so the only way to get in and out was through the back door. So I got up to see who knocked. There was no one there. There was no sound or footsteps running away. Right after, one of the dogs started staring outside and wouldn't budge a single inch, just sat there, staring. I wish I was kidding about this. This is the truth. I was terrified. Used to think that ghosts and demons could be real while growing up, but no longer think so. Why did I believe? People around me would tell me stories and I trusted them. Church leaders would talk about hell and demons and angels and heaven. Why did I stop believing? It was probably James Randi that got me thinking about whether there is any shred of actual evidence for paranormal, psychic, religious beings or powers, and the fact that this foundation has a large cash prize for anyone who can provide evidence. And It is yet to be claimed, says enough for me. After being put on that path, rational thinking and evidence and proof became more important to me. This caused me to give up my religion, and in doing so, I also decided that until I see actual proof or evidence of anything supernatural, that I would treat those claims as inconsistent with the reality that I see and experience. People have told stories for millennia about the afterlife. It is a non-falsifiable claim, which is why people still insist on it to this day, that there just has to be an afterlife. No one can prove it wrong, just like religion. Bottom line is, there has never been a single example of paranormal activity or some kind of proof being recorded or demonstrated in a controlled setting. People have tried to do it and failed. I get that many people have personal testimony and can share countless stories that have heard about ghosts, etc., but personal testimony is unreliable. Also, our very brain structure seems to be geared toward agency, so no doubt we would see shapes in the dark. The primitive parts of our brain have evolved specifically for this reason. Detecting danger is high on the priorities list, so rather our amygdala be overactive with false positives, what people perceive as ghosts, etc., than false negatives, which could result in death. If someone chooses to believe in something that gives their life fulfillment, then who are you to say otherwise, right? And the same in reverse. So just respect each other, and you can grow from there. No, and I can't believe otherwise intelligent people still hold superstitious beliefs in 2022. That and astrology. Okay, it's fun to joke about, but people who seriously believe that stuff must be ignorant about human bias, origins of superstitious belief, and how science works. That, or they just haven't put in the effort to do the low level of critical thinking involved. Sorry to people who do believe it for sounding harsh, but it annoys me how few people do their research as adults. Maybe they just have faith. My time has come. When I was 13, my best friend's aunt died under some suspicious circumstances. Police reports said she overdosed, but she'd been clean for 10 years, and no drugs or residue were found in her system or house. Fast forward 3 years. We're hanging out at his house and talking about ghosts and shit. We get the bright idea to ride out to his aunt's old house, which has been abandoned since her death, and see if anything creepy happens. We make the drive out there and stop in to speak to her neighbor and let her know we're there so she doesn't call the cops. Ride back to the house, and when we get up to the front porch, I instantly feel this frigid air blow over me, like nipples hard enough to cut diamonds. But this is North Carolina in mid-July. It's still 90 degrees outside at 10 p.m. Make our way inside, and we both have flashlights and a video camera. Brain starts calling out to his aunt, asking her to tell us if she's still there. This massive bang sounds out from down the hallway, then silence. We don't investigate. We sit down at the kitchen table and set my flashlight on the table. Brian asks again, "Aunt Linda, are you still here?" And my flashlight cuts off. I cut it back on and it immediately cuts off again. For the second time, we hear this supermassive bang from down the hallway, and we noped right out of there. Felt like someone was watching us in the car the whole way home. Creepy shit. This didn't happen to me directly, but my mom. My mom used to go for walks every day in our kind of ghetto neighborhood. She would always wear headphones, and nothing had ever given her a reason to be cautious beyond normal ghetto cautiousness. One day, she was walking, and a man came up behind her and hit her in the head and started beating her up. He did this for a little while, we don't really know how long, and suddenly got up and ran off. She got help, etc. A week or so later on the news, my mom saw a sketch of a suspect who murdered another woman nearby. I'll never forget my mom looking at the picture and saying, "That's him. That's the guy who attacked me." It still makes me shiver. What we think happened was that the guy saw my mom and thought she was this other woman, and that's why he jumped her and ran away when he realized it wasn't her. The other woman had been found in a barrel in a park close to one my mom walked in. I don't know if it counts, it's not paranormal, but it's pretty creepy to me. I used to drink with my ex's mom's ghost, so I'm really good friends with my ex's cousin, and he used to house watch for his family who lived out of state. Well, their spare house that he watched had an indoor pool, so of course we had to drink there all the time. My ex's mom had some serious alcohol issues and died of intoxication on that property about 15 years prior to this. A lot of people we brought over there claimed to see the ghost of Debbie, but I hadn't seen her yet. Well, until the day I broke up with her daughter. That night Debbie slammed a door right in front of my face. I instantly knew it was her, though I wasn't scared at all. I knew she should be mad at me. I left her daughter to hang. About a week later, I was going to meet my friend over there to chill, but he told me to just let myself in because he was a bit behind. So I ended up pouring myself a drink and sat down at the grand piano. For whatever reason, I felt the need to tell Debbie my side of the story. Let her know that I really did love her daughter, and it really was both of our faults why we had to go our separate ways. After feeling like a fool for talking to thin air, I poured another drink and started playing the piano, until all of a sudden I felt a really cold hand on my back, but no one was there. I felt really comforted by this thought, as if she put her hand on me to let me know she understood my position. That house is sold now, no longer in the family, but I live a few miles away. I still drive by every once in a while and wonder if the new owners have seen Debbie as well. I kinda wanna stop by and ask, though I also don't want to creep out the new owners, so I just let it go. I'm a paranormal investigator, so I live for the creepy and paranormal. I seek it out. I've experienced a lot of creepy things. A while back, we investigated the Sally house in Atchison, Kansas. This house is notorious for paranormal activity, and the owners lease it to investigators. We'd already been there a few hours in the dark with no major incidents, and had our equipment set up all over the place. We'd arranged toys on the floor in Sally's room. It said that Sally will move them if you do that. We'd just finished a dinner break in the kitchen downstairs and went upstairs to check the equipment. When we got to the top of the stairs, the door to Sally's room was closed. None of us had closed it. Someone knocked on the door and asked, "Is anyone there?" We heard a distinctly male voice say, "No, just leave." I need to point out, we were all downstairs together. No one had gone upstairs to close the door, but any investigator will tell you in old houses, doors sometimes close. No men were upstairs. We had 2 men in our group, both downstairs.